Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, and I'm really glad that you tuned into the show today because I'm going to be talking with one of our own people here at Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm going to be talking with Lowell Mann, who is our content delivery manager. And he's going to share some wonderful updates about what's going on here at this ministry. So please stay tuned for that, and also for a little recap of some of those things during the station news segment. Right now, though, let's start with our devotional thought. Recently, I came across a passage in the Gospel book of Mark, and this passage kind of arrested my attention. And it's found in Mark chapter 9, verses 38 through 41. Here's how it goes. Now, John answered him, saying, "Teacher, we saw someone who does not follow us, casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow us." But Jesus said, "Do not forbid him, for no one who works a miracle in my name can soon afterward speak evil of me. For he who is not against us is on our side. For whoever gives you a cup of water to drink in my name because you belong to Christ, assuredly I say to you, he will by no means lose his reward." And there's a parallel passage to this one in the book of Luke. And here it is from Luke chapter 9, verses 49 and 50. Now, John answered and said, "Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him, because he does not follow with us." But Jesus said to him, "Do not forbid him, for he who is not against us is on our side." Now, does this passage make you think? It made me think. And it seems like it might be important for us to spend some time contemplating these verses. Because sometimes it's really easy to identify so closely with one particular faith tradition or one denomination that we start to think of ourselves as an exclusive club, the only place where God is working. So really, no matter what faith tradition you belong to, if you belong to one, it can be easy to feel that you are the one, or I'm the one, or our group is the one that God has given some kind of special favor to. And that somehow we're better than the others who call on his name. Now, it's true that in my particular faith tradition, we believe that God has given us a special end time message that we are to share with the world. And I believe that. We have been called for a purpose. However, that doesn't mean that we're the only ones who've been called, or the only ones who have something to say on behalf of God's kingdom. There's a danger in that. We must not become like the religious leaders of Jesus' time, who were very exclusive in their thinking. They got upset when Jesus told them that others outside of the Jewish faith would be called into his kingdom. Do you remember Jesus talking about sheep and sheepfolds? When he said this, "And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd." That's from John chapter 10, verse 16. So Jesus was not exclusive. He was the opposite. He was inclusive. God is working powerfully all over the world and with all kinds of people, drawing them to himself. And it's very important to remember that while, yes, God has given my faith tradition a special message to deliver for him, a warning not to fall into the coercive, manipulative world of the devil, the beast dragon of the book of Revelation, and to come out of that way of thinking and worshiping. We are not the only people that God is working with and through. Certainly not. The Holy Spirit is alive and active all over the world with anyone who is willing to hear his voice. Jesus is calling everyone to come into a closer and closer connection with him. in the hope of bringing as many people as possible into his kingdom. Tucked away in one of my favorite passages in the Bible is this thought: the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. That's from 2 Peter 8:9. So perhaps instead of being exclusive in our thinking, we should take on the attitude of the Apostle Paul, the attitude that he adopted. Remember these words that he wrote in 1 Corinthians 9:20-22? And to the Jews, I became as a Jew that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law, as under the law, that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without law, not being without law toward God, but under law toward Christ, that I might win those who are without law. To the weak I became as weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. So, like Paul, let's open our hearts to others, perhaps especially to those who don't see things exactly the way we do. Let's get to know them and understand them. In some cases, let's join them in the journey toward God's kingdom. And when needed, invite them into the world of Jesus' kingdom so that they can grow along with us toward his kingdom and toward the glorious future that he has planned for everyone who is willing to follow him. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. With me now is Lowell Mann, who is our content delivery manager. And it is great to have you back on the show, Lowell.
Good to be here.
Yeah, every once in a while we like to have an update about what is happening. Go a little deeper than just the station news segment with what's going on at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. So we've been pretty busy around our place recently, and maybe let's start with what is probably on a lot of people's minds. How's the move over to Wallula going?
Whew. It's going.
It really is.
It really is. In December, we were able to move a handful of staff over to Wallula. So that was mainly Carmen, which she's fully over at Wallula now, which is fantastic. We were able to, by the end of February, get all of the office stuff out of Sunbridge. So that was my office, the production manager office.
That was a lot of really great staff and volunteers and trucks moving stuff.
So we did a lot of that in December, and we got the next bit at the end of February.
Okay.
So that space is all empty. And we took a couple edit computers, put it into a storage closet that we had moved out. And now that's a big storage closet. It's not like this little. So we've got 2 computers in there.
So this is stuff that's still at Sunbridge.
Correct.
Couple editing computers.
Correct.
Master control.
Yeah, our master control volunteer, Michael, comes in and works from that location. And then the equipment room, that's the one that's going to take a bit to get that all moved.
Yes, and that's the one we were really worried about the water leaks, but those got patched up on the roof.
Yeah, Sudbridge went in and did a lot of patching. We're not seeing...
Okay for now.
It's okay for now. We've had a bunch of rain recently, and I've gone in there and just double checked, and we're not seeing any leaks, which is...
Really good.
Really good. So I'm really grateful to Sunbridge for taking care of that.
But the question on people's minds is, so how come you haven't gone ahead and moved master control and all the stuff in the equipment room on over to Wallula?
It's a very good question, and part of it has to do is that equipment, we'd have to shut it all down so that we can move it over. And if we did that,
we'd be off the air for a long time.
A lot longer than I think
people would like.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have redundancy where you have several different, and then you can set some stuff up over there, and then so it's going to involve some upgrading.
Yes.
I think part of those 2 edit computers we were talking about, we need access to a server that's over in the Sunbridge. We don't have that.
So we need to get redundancy with those servers for sure.
Yeah.
In other words, there's some financial cost to moving all the equipment over.
Correct. And we have a duplicate server. We're getting ready to get that moved over. We want to be able to control all of the equipment from Wallula. So there's a few things, but I think hopefully here by May we can get the rest of the staff moved over. So that's on the horizon.
That would be really great.
But that doesn't include the equipment room. The equipment room, a lot of that's going to take a bit more, and that's going to take a couple $100,000 worth of
It is.
funds
So
to do
we're
that.
definitely needing funds for that. We do have some funds available in our move, not enough to do everything, but just last night at the board meeting, we were able to vote to release some funds for the heating and air conditioning. Mostly it's the emphasis on air conditioning.
Yes, let's talk about that, because that is one hinge on moving some of that equipment over. We have some stuff that we can move. I mentioned the server, we're almost there, but it needs a cool place to operate.
Now, we have to clarify this because we have heating and air conditioning in the building at Wallula.
Correct.
The normal stuff like you would have in any building.
But when you have a room full of computers and servers that put off a lot of heat, you need some extra cooling to make sure that those equipment don't overheat and they can stay operational. So we have a separate AC unit for the equipment room that we're getting installed. There's some ducting. We're changing some of the plans that we had for that room, and so there's a few tweaks.
Actually, our viewers will be glad to know that those changed plans represent a savings.
Correct.
Yes.
So we're on the move, and as you said, that was approved last night to get that done. So once that is complete, then we can start getting some of that equipment over as well.
So we're pretty excited. I know the board meeting last night was kind of a joyous one. In many ways, there was one element of it that was really hard, and that's how much money is in our operating funds. And I'd kind of like to come back to that in our interview. But so we do have some significant challenges, but we also have a lot of good things happening.
Yes.
And a lot of stuff moving forward. And this air conditioning is one of them. Also, we were able to release some funds last night for the telephone system.
Yes. So we have, of course, a telephone system ordered, but it's not fully installed. We have to get cables from one end of the building to the other, because you got your phone system in one room, but we got phones all in other places.
And that is complicated by the fact that there's actually, as any good building would have, any larger sized building, a firewall about midway through the building. So that if you had a fire on one side of the building, it wouldn't be able to travel to the other.
Correct.
But that creates challenges for getting cabling through from one side to the other.
Correct. And so we have what's called a firewall pass-through, so that you can put it through that firewall, but then if there is a fire, it somehow shrinks and doesn't allow the...
Yeah,
I don't fully understand how it works.
And I don't know exactly how they work either, but they were a small expense, not a huge one, but a small expense to get those, and we have those in hand. I saw them last night. So that was fun.
We're hoping to get that installed, and we can get cable trays so we can get the cables from one end of the building to the other. So that's the next big project.
We're giving a lot of details here. I hope our viewers love hearing these sort of nitty-gritties about how this thing actually happens. How does it come together? And actually, we're sparing our viewers a lot of details that the engineers all think about.
To them, it's great fun to talk about. For the rest of us, maybe not quite so much.
Exactly. Okay, so we're getting really close to having the phones installed the way they should be. We're getting close to having the air conditioning finished. And those are very important steps for being able to bring this equipment over. Plus then raising some additional funds to get that redundancy and move them on over. Now, did you want to say more about that topic?
No, I was just going to say it'll be really nice when I can work in one location.
Yes.
Because I have an office space at Wallula and I have office space at Sunbridge, and I'm traveling back and forth.
Yes, and you have an intern working with you who we introduced to our viewers a few weeks ago. And we'd really like to have Alex all in the same spot
and even
with you.
we mentioned Michael earlier.
Yes.
Get him moved over to
our wonderful master control volunteer.
Yeah, he's a fantastic volunteer. He does great work.
He sure does. So we're just right on the edge there, and I'm looking forward to more progress happening. Now, maybe to a topic that our viewers really care about. I mean, I know they care about us getting moved, and they've been. So many people have been really kind in helping us volunteer and giving their funds, but it's all about the content, isn't it? It's all about programming and what we want to watch on Blue Mountain Television or on demand at the website or whatever. We have got a new show that just started last Sunday.
Correct.
What is that?
All right, so this is coming via Hope Channel. So they're the ones that are putting together and producing the program.
Yeah, I got to see the set for it actually back in October when I was at the Hope Channel. Yes.
And they had probably wrapped filming by that
They
point.
had, but the set was still there.
It's taken quite a bit of time. I had heard at the end of last year that it was coming, but I didn't know when. Well, they have just launched it. Many people are familiar with the show The Chosen.
The Chosen, yes.
It's
stories of Jesus and his disciples.
Very popular series. I think.
Yeah, kind of a worldwide phenomenon, really.
Yes, absolutely. They've just they wrapped with season 3. They just finished with season 3.
Yes.
But David Astrick and Ty Gibson.
Now, those are some names we've heard of before.
Correct. They're
some
with
well-known speakers.
Well-known on Blue Mountain
Light
Television
Bearers.
with Light Bearers Ministry. They went in and they are looking at the series The Chosen and using it as a springboard to talk about the gospel.
Yes.
And so,
in fact, you can get some Bible studies as well along. And
that's through the Hope Channel. They are the companion there. So they are really
helping us dig into the Gospels.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're watching a little bit of the series and then having a discussion between the two of them. And so this is something brand new to Blue Mountain Television.
A brand new show. And we're hoping that it will draw some viewers in, people who have heard of this worldwide phenomenon show, people who've been interested in it or at least heard of it, and maybe also some people who have enjoyed listening to David Astrick, listening to Ty Gibson and many of the presentations they've given before. And there's been shows like Table Talk and like that where we're used to hearing these two guys, along with others, but discussing interesting biblical topics. And so they're going to be doing that again.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going through, I've seen the list, they're going through all the episodes in season 1, 13 episodes, and I'm sure at some point they'll come back and do season 2 and 3 and
probably, pretty likely they will. And I've only seen just a little bit of the first episode, and already I saw them digging into some biblical passage from Isaiah, and I'm just looking forward to what these two will have to say as you kind of go deeper into the material behind some of these episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that series is airing Sundays at 4 p.m., Tuesdays at 9 a.m., and Wednesday evening at 7 p.m.
Okay, so that's when you can tune in for it.
Yep.
Very good. Now, speaking of programming, we've been spending a lot of brain time and a lot of creative time on a new program we're going to produce here at Blue Mountain Broadcasting. Tell us about that.
It's called, well, the working title right now, I think it's probably going to stick, is Hometown. And so we are going to be interviewing people from the community. We're going to be going out into the community and interviewing people like in art studios, in different areas, getting to know some of the people within our community. We're going to be looking at health. We're going to be looking at even
community affairs,
affairs, how the government works, all these different things. And so it's really exciting to see what we're going to put together. We've kind of got the initial outline for how we want the show to work, but we're going to go into heavy pre-production probably by May, hoping to shoot a whole bunch of this stuff in July.
Yes.
And then look for it in the fall, September, I think.
September is the launch date we're looking at.
Absolutely. And we hope to have enough new episodes to have something each week.
And this is going to be a new set, and not just set, but also out into the field.
Yeah, a lot of field stuff. Yeah, a lot of field stuff, some set stuff. It won't look like
Yes,
this.
we're pretty excited actually. So Elaine Hinshaw and Lowell are the two that are working the most in preparing this show and getting it ready.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to end up being one of the hosts with the show, so I'll be involved too. And we're just really excited about bringing our audience something new that really connects with our community here, which hence the name Hometown, right?
Yeah. And one little caveat with that is that this show right here is going to be molded into that one.
Yes.
So this program that we're currently watching
will kind of go away, and instead we'll have Hometown.
Correct.
But I'm super excited about that. I know we don't have very much time left, but I think maybe if we just took a few moments to share with our viewers about our need for our operating budget.
Yes.
That's where our biggest need is right now. We have a little
is.
bit of reserve for the building fund set aside, but we don't want to use those funds for operating. They've been reserved for the building
Yeah,
and
technically
the move.
we can't.
Yes.
So our operating, as we've looked at it, and it was looked at the board last night, is
Really low.
It's really low. So we have a fundraiser coming up here late April.
Yes.
We're going to do it a little bit different this year. Normally we have a big thing for 3 evenings. What we're going to do is we're contacting a bunch of people and having them do promos that will air throughout the day. And we'll just
we're
ask
hoping
people.
to have some running number figures on the screen
Correct.
as well.
Correct.
And we're going to, and instead of just people calling in, which they'll
Yeah.
still be able to do, but we're going to be calling
Callings.
people as well who have been some of our
Faithful.
biggest supporters.
So-
And we're really trying to grow the base of supporters for Blue Mountain Broadcasting. Maybe a lot more, they can be big donors too, but a lot more small donors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so the idea is we'll have our normal programming throughout the day, and then we'll just pop in with different things, inviting people to support the
Yes.
ministry, because we really do need it, because you look at the operating right now and it's scary low.
Yeah, it's not that there are some funds in the bank, mostly marked for the special project and the move, which is pretty exciting to give to, we admit.
Yeah.
But we also need those regular monthly gifts that just keep the station running day by
Yeah.
day. That's what we
Because
really
otherwise
need.
those other funds are kind of useless.
Yes.
If the station isn't here, then
Yes.
So
we're
we
needing
really
to
do.
balance that out, and that's why we're kind of bringing that appeal to our viewers right now. Well, Lowell, I just want to thank you. You've given us a great update about things that are going on. Exciting. Good to hear.
Well, thanks for having me.
Stay tuned. I'll be right back. It's time now for station news. Well, you already heard the station news, really, because Lowell was sharing such a great report with us. But I'll recap a few things. If you're interested in tuning in for the new show with Ty Gibson and David Asherick, where they are looking at the storytelling with The Chosen and exploring those issues with the Gospels and digging into the Bible and the stories related to Jesus, you can do that by watching Story Encounter, The Chosen, on Sundays at 4 p.m., Tuesdays at 9 a.m., and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. here on Blue Mountain Television. Also, just wanted to remind you that our Content Standards Committee is still busy at work. We're going to be meeting again soon, laying out some of those principles for the content here on the station. It's been a very exciting group to work with, and I know it will continue to be. We're going to have some great things happening with that. Also, you just heard some great updates about our move over to the Wallula facility and how we're trying to complete the last phases of that. So thank you for your prayers for that and your support. And probably most importantly right now, the very, very big need that we have for our operating budget. Our operating budget is at a dangerously low level, even though we have some funds for the move that have been designated specifically for that and need to be used only for that. So just to keep this thing running day by day, we definitely need your gifts marked. You can mark them either for the operating budget or you can mark them for wherever it's needed most. Either one of those things work out great for helping us to keep Blue Mountain Television on the air and to keep the live stream going and to keep ourselves on Roku and the YouTube channel and all of those things happening so that you can access the great programming here from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. So once again, this is the moment when we need your special gifts marked for the operating budget. And if you could make a commitment to giving something every single month for the station, that would be the most helpful. Maybe you could do $10 a month. It's probably not a huge bit out of your budget, but it would certainly help us. We're trying to grow that base of people who month by month support the ministry here at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. So thank you for that. Again, also thank you for your prayers, for telling other people about the station, and for watching the show this time. I'll see you again next time.